so Bip, I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, and we get it kind of recorded, tell some stories, right? And talk about life, talk about things that happened. 40 years, 40 plus years in the real estate game, right? Mm-hmm. I got roughly 8 years in the game, and I want to hear from the Bip way. And I get to hear these stories. Mm-hmm. But there's other people that don't really get to hear these stories and enjoy these times, right? All right. So kind of where I want to start is we will go back in time, but let's kind of talk about the bank-owned days.
Okay.
Let's talk about how did you get into selling bank property? How did all that start?
Well, actually, how it started was former agent used to be in our office. Mm-hmm. He also had a little home inspection business on the side. Mm-hmm. He called me up one day because he did a home inspection on a property that another agency had listed, but had mold in it, and they didn't want to do it, and it was a bank-owned property. Mm-hmm. So he asked me would I be interested in taking on the assignment. I said, yeah. So I talked to the asset manager, and she was appreciative that I was willing to take it. And she asked if I could possibly pass my name on to a couple other of her buddies. And so I got my foot in the door. And this is back in 2001.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you started bank-owned before it got popular.
Yeah. And, I looked at it as an opportunity to probably I was doing maybe 8 to 12 deals a year. And so, it was something, a little extra. Okay. On my palette, on my plate. So I just ran with it like that. Okay. Not knowing what was about to happen until I started doing some stuff with a national REO company out of Denver. Okay. And they usually had an annual meeting when they brought agents in, and then they had one person on their staff who was a PhD economist. Okay. And in 2006, he told us the tsunami's about to come. Okay. Yeah, he broke it down. He gave us an hour-long lecture. He said, the tsunami's about to come in 2008. He said, you're going to have more business than you know what to do with. Okay. So I could kind of see it coming. Outside of him, I wouldn't have known it was coming.
Really? Right. But back then you told me if you breathe, you can get financing. So what was going on?
Well, part of the situation was there was a lot of subprime out here. Okay. And, some of the criteria for qualification to me was crazy. They was giving away money. They was throwing money at you. Okay. If you wanted a loan, you could get it. Okay. It didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. One of the loans programs that they had that I thought was insane was the 125% LTV. Yeah. Yeah. No money down, and actually you got a check back at closing. Okay. Okay. Normally these were on adjustable rates. Some were 6 months adjustables. Yeah. Most of them were 228, fixed for 2 years, and then for the last 28 years, it was on an adjustable. Most of the times, it was a 6 month adjustable. Yeah. With 2 and 6 caps. In other words, interest rate would be capped at 2%. Yeah. And the margin would be 2%. The interest rate could go even higher. And so it was a recipe for disaster.
So it sounds to me like leading up to 2008 and 2009 and the real estate crash. Mm-hmm. There was all kinds of crazy loans going on.
Yeah, a lot of crazy loans.
And really, the government allowed this stuff to happen.
Yeah, well, what happened was things got deregulated.
Gotcha.
Okay. And Wall Street got involved because there was a time early in the late 90s and early 2000s where subprime mortgages were portfolio. Gotcha. And when they were portfolio, they stayed within a certain range, and they didn't get proliferated like they did. Okay. With deregulation, they allowed them to become securitized. Okay. In other words, they could sell them on the secondary market. Okay. And Wall Street went crazy. Okay. The pipes were crazy. Just like in Wall Street, Gordon Gekko, greed is good. Yeah. That got greedy. Yeah. And it went crazy. It went bonkers.
So moving on a little bit with that, tell me about 06, 07, 08. Leading up to the crash. Tell me kind of what was the market like? What was going on?
Well, the market was very similar to where we have right now, where rates were fairly decent. They're better today than they were then, but rates were fairly decent. And non-subprime loans were moving. Yeah. But the other thing was subprime loans were just going crazy. Investors were buying them. Non-creditworthy people were buying them, and so houses were flying off the shelves. Inventory was tight like it is now. Okay. And, things were just going crazy until we had that first for lack of a better term, tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
And that's when Bear Stearns went down. Once the thing went down, all of a sudden, it's like somebody put their foot on the brake. You know, we were going 80 miles an hour, and somebody hit the brake hard, and everybody was, you had that jerk.
Yeah.
That was the first jerk.
Yeah.
And that started slowing things down, and people started saying, uh-oh, and things started changing.
So what was going through your mind at that time? Like, how did you feel? I mean, you know, you're selling the house like crazy, and then boom, Bear Stearns happens. You know, what was your mind go through?
Well, I was aware that a crash was coming.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned to you before, the economist mentioned to it in 06.
Yep.
I had prepared myself in 07.
How did you prepare yourself?
Well, certain things, I kind of, first of all, started putting some money back.
Yeah.
I started being a little bit more cautious because I was doing some investing too.
Okay.
And I stopped that.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to get caught when the music stopped playing and didn't have a seat.
Understood.
Yeah, so I did that. I didn't, you know, now he had said that, you know, you're going to have more business than what you can handle.
Gotcha.
And at that time, I didn't really perceive it to be what he said.
Understood.
Okay. And then once that happened, I mean, it blew up. I went from, you know, having 7, 8 REO assets to having 40 or 50 like that.
Wow.
And it went bonkers. You know, in our MLS, I can remember, like right now, I think when I looked the last time in MLS here, we have like 2,100, 2,200 active listings.
Yeah.
And we were running around 3,000 listings on a monthly basis, and we have about 1.1, maybe 1.2 months inventory.
Yeah.
In 2010, 2009, we had 18,000 listings.
Wow.
And we had 18 months of inventory.
Wow.
So it was a huge buyer's market.
And short sale.
Yeah, short sales were going, REOs were going, you know, and then traditional market too. But what had happened at a point, we had 40% of the MLS was distressed sales.
Yeah.
And by distressed sales, we're talking short sales,
Yeah.
and REO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you saw a lot of people get out the business.
Yeah.
But how did you? I mean, that was 2008, prior to 2015, really.
Mm-hmm.
How did you weather that storm? And also too, how did it negatively impact you as well?
Well, part of the reason how I weathered the storm was at the time when I first started REO, I was doing probably 90% traditional and 10% REO.
Mm-hmm.
That flipped.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was selling 90% REO and 10% traditional.
Yeah.
One of the ways I weathered the storm was the bank didn't really have a floor, for lack of a better term, with respect to pricing.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you know, a seller may have a mortgage,
Yeah.
you know, or a certain level where they say, look, I can't sell below this.
Yeah.
The bank would say, hey, look, put it on the market. If it doesn't go, drop the price until it got moved.
Yeah.
So there was no floor. So that being said, and with me getting assets all the time, I was still closing more deals in that market than what I was in the traditional market before.
Yeah. Well, the price is going down, the commissions are going down.
Yeah.
So it's okay. It's all right. So I want to turn back the clock of time a little bit.
Okay.
Let's go back to 1979. So you became real estate agent, right? Talk to us about that beginning. You know, I know you did some military time.
Well, you know, I got out of the military. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to take the summer off. Before I got out of the military, my aunt worked at, they used to call it the depot, but now it's DFAS.
Okay.
And I asked her to bring me, I think this form was an SF-171, you know, military always has its forms. And that was an application. So I came home for Christmas, she gave me the form, I filled it out, I gave it back to her, she turned it in person. I didn't think much of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a letter from them saying, hey, we got a job for you. So I said, okay. So I took the job.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I was working there, government job. And a buddy of mine said he was going to get his real estate license. So I said, I like that idea. I think I'm going to do it too. So I did and got it and got started and really kind of liked it a lot.
Okay.
Now, the job that I had at DFAS was what they call a temporary assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because I was in the military, that was considered government service. And consequently, they gave me time for that. Mm-hmm. So I could have transitioned from a temporary to a permanent job. Mm-hmm. But I'll never forget this. I was in building 12 at, I'm going to still call it the depot. They call it the defense or whatever.
Okay.
And I was looking down the hallway, and the building was long.
Yeah.
And I looked straight ahead, and it looked like, to me, it was my future.
Yeah.
And then I turned around and looked behind, and that was my past. And I just made a decision, you know. I said, look, I got a car payment, and that's it. I'm going to shake the dice and take a chance.
Yeah.
So when the time came, I said, nah, I don't want a permanent job. I'm going to step off. And so I did. And, you know, everybody was tripping because, you know, government job at that time was looked upon as being, you know, hey, something safe and secure.
Wow.
But, you know, I said, hey, I'm going to take a chance. I said, my attitude was, look, I'm 22, 23. I don't have any kids. I ain't married.
Yeah.
If it don't work, I'll go back.
Sure.
And so I shook the dice and I jumped.
Yeah.
You know, I got a lot of criticism. I got a lot of this and that. And the other thing that happened too, and it was really unfortunate. I didn't really have a plan, but I just had some courage.
Come on, man.
Okay,
come on.
At that time, mortgage rates were 7%, which was equivalent to where we are today, 2 or 3%.
Sure.
Well, also too, we had a problem with internationally with oil going up in price. The OPEC started with the oil cartel. And they still really started kicking in the gear. They had started earlier, but they started kicking in the gear.
Yeah.
To make a long story short, the United States went through an inflationary period.
Yep.
So I went from a situation as a rookie agent being in a 7% fixed rate environment, and within 13 months, we were in 17% fixed rate.
Wow.
And so needless to say, I was starving. I was hungry.
Yeah.
I was thirsty.
Yeah.
Because it was hard to get deals done. So we had to do some creative things back in those days to try to make deals going. And, you know, consequently, I had to get me a little part-time job. I kept the dream alive. I kept hustling. But I needed, you know, a little part-time job so I could have some gas in my car and keep it moving.
So how long did you get a part-time job?
I had it for about 5-6 years because it took you know, we were in the 17 double-digit interest rate, and I remember like it was yesterday. It was Ohio. We called it Ohio bond money, and the first issuance that came out, I think it was late '84, '85, and I remember it was 9.98. Boy, I thought I went to heaven. I was ecstatic.
Yeah,
people were lining up outside the banks to register, and you know, just the fact that it was under, you know, 10% and single digits, it was hallelujah time.
Really?
Yeah. And, you know, it was first time home buyer money.
Yeah.
And, you know, things started picking up.
Yeah.
But, you know, from 80 to 84, you know, I was wandering in the wilderness.
So how did your parents feel about this, right? So let me finish the question though, right? And were you living with them at the time? And yeah, tell me more about about that.
Yeah, I was staying with parents at the time. That kind of helped me out. You know, everybody kept saying you needed to get a real job, but you know, the real estate for me was my dream.
So why were you so stubborn about that?
You know what? I don't call it
6 years. 6 year part-time job.
Well, the thing about it is, I wouldn't call it stubborn. I would call it persistent. Okay. And I would say for anybody that's got a dream, you know, and if you want to live what I call the entrepreneurial life, if you want to be a business owner, you're going to deal with some tough times.
Absolutely.
You're going to have some wilderness experience.
Come on.
You're going to wander around in the wilderness for a little bit of time.
Okay.
But you got to suck it up.
Yeah.
And you got to persevere.
Yeah.
You got to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And you got to keep going.
Yeah.
And pretty much that's what I did. I just said, you know what? I'm grinding this out now. You know, after a couple of years, I realized, hey, this is it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I never forget, I read a book that my father gave me, Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
And there was a story in there about Washington during the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
And they crossed the river and they had to fight the enemy. Now, one of the things that he did was he had the soldiers, once they crossed over, he had to chop up their boats and turn it into firewood.
Yep.
So there was no way to retreat.
Yep.
Either tomorrow we win or tomorrow we die.
Yep.
And that's kind of the attitude I took.
Yep.
You know, at this point I'm too deep into it. You know, either this is going to work or I'm gonna be homeless.
Absolutely.
And that's the attitude I took.
Absolutely.
And I kept persevering.
So during all that, you lived with your parents.
Well, here's what happened.
Okay.
I did something similar to you.
Okay.
I bought some investment property.
Okay.
I had several properties, and I got more cash flow out of renting both sides instead of me staying on one side.
There it is.
There it is. I did what you did. Yeah. Until I got married. Once I got married, at that point I said, okay, it's time to go.
So essentially, you lived with your parents from 22, 23 to almost 29. Yeah. So tell me more about, switching gears a little bit here, tell me more about what I call the original Don Payne. That's your father.
Yeah.
That's the original. Right?
Yeah, right.
Tell me more about the original. Tell me more about, how you felt about you doing entrepreneurship. Tell us about it.
Well, Pop, I call him Pop. Pop, he put the seed in me as a young man. He always talked about entrepreneurship. He always talked about working for yourself. He always talked about self-education, reading books. At that time, instead of having audio books, he had books on records.
Yep.
And he used to listen to them all the time. I used to listen to him listen to them all the time.
Yeah.
So my father was an educational person. And the other thing was he always believed in mentorship.
Yeah.
And I call him a dad's dad.
Yeah.
So, he wasn't just my dad, he was a neighborhood dad.
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends when I was in school that, came from single parent homes.
Yeah.
And so my father was always, following through and following back on what I do. So he'd come up to the school, he'd talk to the teachers, he'd talk to the principal. And I can remember him talking to some of the neighbors, on my street and said, hey, I'm going up to see about my son. You want me to check on yours?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he would do that.
Yeah.
And he would report back to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and the other thing too, my father was very strong in the church, so we went to church, and it wasn't optional.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't a situation where I didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
We stayed in church all day.
Yeah.
I mean, we started at 9:30 Sunday school, and we went to 2:00 service, and then 5 o'clock youth fellowship, 6 o'clock evening service, and we got out of church at 8:30, 9 o'clock on Sunday night. So it was all day. It wasn't optional. That's how we grew up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's how everything flowed. That's how it went.
Yeah.
So, it was a situation where that's what he did.
Yeah.
And he instilled a lot of value in me. And one of the things he was, man, my father was persistent.
Yeah.
He was super persistent.
Yeah.
No matter what, he would just persevere. And, he put some of that in.
Yeah. So tell us more about how he dressed, how he kept his things.
The young man, he kept everything tight. When he was a kid, he used to shine shoes. That was his hustle.
Yeah.
So he taught me and my brother how to shine shoes.
Yeah.
And I still got, I got my shoe shine kit. I got my saddle soaps.
Yeah.
I got my brushes. I got my rags.
Yeah.
I got different colored my shoes. I got different color polishes.
Yeah.
He showed us how to do that. And Saturday evening, we would sit down with him, and we'd all shine our shoes. We lay out our clothes for Sunday. We'd read our Sunday school lesson. We'd have everything ready.
Yeah.
So, the old man stayed impeccably dressed.
Yeah.
He liked his ties. He liked his sport jackets and pants. He liked his suits.
Yeah.
He kept everything tight.
Yeah.
And he kept a variety of different things. I used to like to go in there and infiltrate, and he'd get all over me about that.
Yeah.
But he had some nice stuff.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. And the one thing my father did do, and he had taught me, he was a hat man.
Okay.
My man had the fedoras, the stingy brims, every hat in a box. And I still have my hats too, and everything stays in a box and it stays tight.
Yeah.
We used to go to the hat shop, and the hat shop would have, clean and block machine. Most people don't understand what that is, but that's how a hat gets clean.
Yeah.
For those that have them, and I haven't seen many in Columbus. I have seen a few out of town. You take your hat to the hat store, they clean and block it, make it look crispy and clean, and you can go with that.
Yeah.
And the old man will show you how to wear the hat. You could wear it with the brim up, or you could break it down.
Yeah.
He was always good at that, with the scarf and the gloves, everything. So he's an impeccable dresser, and he gave me some of those habits.
Yeah. So if he was here today, what do you think he would tell you now? What would he tell me? What would he tell the people in the family?
Well, he used to always ask me when I was doing real estate, he'd say, Don, Did you kill him today?
Yeah.
That was his way of saying, did you close today?
Yeah.
And that's what he would say. I think he would say something like that. He'd be extremely proud.
Yeah.
He was proud before he passed away, but because we did a few things together, and I'm glad we were able to get a few deals together, meet him together, because he really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So talk to me about the value of homeownership, the value of even in doing investments. Talk to me about that.
Well, it's a great way to gain wealth, and also too on leverage.
Yeah.
It can help you with that. So I think homeownership is important, and I think as African Americans we need to get our pieces of pie, and we need to get started that way.
Yeah.
And then once you establish a home base, at that point, investment opportunities around here.
Yeah.
And everybody needs housing. I think I call it the big three. People need food, water, and shelter.
Yeah.
And we are in the shelter business.
Yeah.
Okay. And they need that.
Yeah.
And we need, and one of the things that we do as realtors, we reach out into the community and we show people how to gain shelter.
Yeah.
How to have a roof over your head, how to have some ownership, home ownership, and how to get equity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you call me Bugs. Where did that nickname come from?
Oh, Bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you were little, I used to keep you close by me, and every now and then I give you a hug and give you a little smack on the forehead, a little kiss on the forehead. And then one day you hit me back and you said, "Dad, that old wet booger sugar."
Yeah.
And Bugs started from there.
Yeah. Now you call a girlfriend. Where did that come from?
Because I'm her only boyfriend, and I still am. She knows that. I keep tight reins on the situation. Tight reins.
Yeah.
Girlfriend, I want you to know that. Very tight reins.
There it is.
At some point, I'm probably going to have to stand in front of the altar and when the preacher says, who gives this woman for this man, I'll probably have my lips tight, my hand will be quivering, and I'll have to think about it, and then eventually she'll hit me with the elbow, and I'll have to say, well, I guess I do.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm her boyfriend, and she's my girlfriend.
So Grease. I don't know if you had another game when we were kids or not.
Nah, that's pretty much it. You came up with that one. You tell me about that.
Man, I could.
You came up with that one, and I just hijacked it.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah,
Greasy spoon.
Yeah.
So I want to ask some questions about raising us as kids, right? And my mom was a teacher, and talk to me about being a business owner, having kids, having a wife. During that time, what was all that like?
Well, I think one of the things that was very, very unique, but also good is your mother and I worked together as a team. Mm-hmm. And it really made it good for both of us. It helped us a lot. Now, we were doing some juggling. We was always, doing this or that. But, we sat down, we looked at what we had to get done, and then we also looked at, responsibilities. Certain things I did, certain things she did, and then there was other times when we just crisscrossed if necessary.
Yeah.
But in the beginning it was hectic, but as you guys got older and bigger, it started smoothing out a little bit.
Yeah.
And everything worked out.
Yeah.
My unique job and her unique job blended because we could crisscross. For example, she's a school teacher, I'm a realtor. Okay, in the morning she's got to get up and go to class. For me, I could kind of set my schedule. Mm-hmm. So one of the things we did is I got up, I got you kids ready, I took you to daycare, I fed you, I dressed you, I told her to get up, shower, go to work.
Yeah.
In the evening time, I may have appointments, show her property. She gets off at 3 o'clock, she picked you up.
Yeah.
So, we ran with that. And that worked for us very well.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, too, tell me about being a landlord and owning rental properties. Tell me about that experience.
It was a pretty good experience. I didn't, truthfully, if I had to do it over again, I should have had some mentorship on it. Because I was doing it strictly, by myself, no team, nobody really helping me. And, I made some mistakes, of course. Didn't screen my tenants right, things like that. But it was a good experience. And even through my mistakes, it was profitable.
Yeah.
And it was very profitable. Mm-hmm. Doing it, looking at it again, I would have engaged more of a team approach. I think that's the best way to handle it. Yeah. And I would say for any investor, you build your own in-house team.
Yeah.
And that's how you make the most profit. You have your own in-house team to manage and maintenance your properties.
Yeah. And we also got to look at, to me, the fact that at that time, in the 80s and 90s, when you were a landlord and stuff, the neighborhoods were different.
Yeah, they were different.
I mean, look at King Lincoln now. I mean, over there, 203 Long Street, Cabana Bar area, whatever. I mean, that area was pretty rough.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Yeah. Well, I think too, in light of our lack of inventory that we've been in now, I think for the last 4 to 5 years.
Yeah,
inventory's been down. You had to move into different neighborhoods.
Yeah,
in order to make up that shortage.
Absolutely.
Before we didn't have that, when REO was king, there was inventory everywhere. But as it shrunk up, people started, for lack of a better term, I call it blazing the frontier.
Absolutely.
And going out in areas that normally, were considered marginal, rehabbing and reinvesting and bringing those neighborhoods up. The city also gave incentives through tax abatements to incentivize investors to go in those areas and make that happen.
Yeah. So let me ask you kind of a off-subject question, right?
All right.
So where do you get these nicknames for everybody from? I mean, it seems like everybody I know, Sleepy Time, Calico, Kobe Bugs, Bobo.
Right.
Everybody.
Well, let me explain. Okay, my father's from the East Coast. He's northern New Jersey, close to New York. Mm-hmm. That's an East Coast kind of thing.
Okay.
It's a term of endearment.
Okay.
If you get a nickname, it means you're close. I enjoy your company, and I want to give you a little something that reminds me of you.
Yeah.
So everybody gets a little nickname because that kind of means, hey, we cool.
Yeah.
So you got your regular name, and you got our name. So that's kind of where that came from. Now my father was the king of nicknames. Everybody had a nickname. So after watching them do it, then it kind of transposed to me, and now it's transposed to you because you do it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I love giving people nicknames.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
It's a natural.
Now sometimes they don't like them, or they don't really, they feel some way.
But you know what? Over time, they'll get used to it. Over time, they'll get used to it. Yeah, because I give a few folks names they ain't like it, but over time, they got used to it.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the first church doing that deal. Right, doing the first church development deal.
Yeah,
I think it was 99, 01, 02, something like that.
98.
Yeah. So let's roll back the clock in time. Well, I'll start from the beginning. Pastor Clark had a dream, or go ahead.
Yeah. Bishop had a dream about moving. I think for a while he was kind of praying about it, and kind of trying to come to a decision with respect to what we should do, because we were in the inner city and we were growing.
Yeah.
And we were growing so much that if you didn't get to church by a certain time, there wasn't nowhere to sit.
Okay.
And I think the challenge, and I think the linchpin, and I'm guessing here, I guess I can't get into
sure.
It's
just your perspective.
Yeah. I think we got to a point to where we were losing some potential new members.
Gotcha.
Because they were getting there a little later, and there wasn't any place to go. And we were packing it at the seams.
Yeah.
So we decided to, move on Refugee Road.
Yeah.
124 acres.
Yeah.
And it was a huge monumental move for us, especially spending a couple $1 million just to buy some land.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big move, and we got it done. And, then we got the building started, and, that was, it's been a 20-year ride.
What's your advice for how to move forward in life? What's your advice from your vantage point when you look at what I've got going on and where I think I'm trying to go?
I would say number one, always study and learn. Mm-hmm. Invest in people. Develop people. Lead them, and build a team. Yeah, I would definitely say that you need to have a team.
Yeah.
That's the advice that I would